Most people go through life avoiding uncomfortable truths. They chase comfort. They chase approval. They chase distractions. But the ancient Stoic philosophers believed something very different. They believed that the moment you face reality, without fear, without illusion, your life begins to change. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius reminded himself of this every single day in his private journal, later known as Meditations. Inside, it were not motivational quotes, but reminders about life. Truths that most people spend their entire lives trying to ignore. Because these truths are uncomfortable. They challenge your ego. They destroy your excuses. They force you to take responsibility for your life. But if you have the courage to accept them, something powerful happens. Your mind becomes stronger. Your focus becomes sharper. And suddenly, the chaos of life no longer controls you. In this video, we will explore 7 brutal Stoic truths about life. Truths that can transform the way you think, act, and live. Some of them may be difficult to hear, but sometimes the hardest truths are the ones we need the most. Truth 1. Life is shorter than you think. One of the most brutal truths the Stoics constantly reminded themselves of is this: life is short, much shorter than we imagine. Most people live as if time is unlimited. They delay their dreams. They postpone discipline. They tell themselves, "I'll start tomorrow." Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next year. And slowly life disappears. The Stoic philosopher and Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote in his personal reflections that people often behave as if they will live forever, forgetting that every day brings them closer to the end. This idea was not meant to create fear. It was meant to create clarity. When you truly understand that your time is limited, your priorities begin to change. You stop wasting energy on pointless arguments. You stop caring about the opinions of people who do not matter. You stop delaying the things that could improve your life. Because suddenly, every day feels valuable. Every moment becomes an opportunity to act, improve, and grow. The Stoics practice something called memento mori, a reminder that death is inevitable. Not to become pessimistic, but to live with urgency and purpose. Because when you remember that life is temporary, you begin to treat time like the precious resource it truly is. You become more disciplined, more focused, more intentional about how you live. Most people wait for a crisis to realize how valuable time is. But the Stoics believed a wise person does not wait for tragedy to wake them up. They wake themselves up every single day, and they ask one powerful question: if today were my last day, would I still waste it the way I am living now? Because once you truly understand how short life is, you stop drifting through it. You start living it with purpose. Truth 2. You cannot control most things. One of the most powerful and brutal lessons of Stoicism is this: you cannot control everything in life. Most people spend their lives worrying about things they have no power over. They stress about what others think. They fear failure. They obsess over the past or worry endlessly about the future. The Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, understood that this is a trap. Life is full of events outside our control. Wars happen. Markets crash. People betray you. Accidents occur. But here's the critical insight. While you cannot control these events, you can control your response. Stoics divide the world into 2 categories: things you can control, your thoughts, your actions, your effort, your attitude. Things you cannot control, everything else, other people's actions, random events, outcomes. Focusing on what you cannot control is a waste of energy. It leads to frustration, anger, and suffering. Focusing on what you can control, however, gives you freedom. Imagine how much mental space you would gain if you stopped stressing over things outside your power. Your energy could go into growth, discipline, and wisdom. This is why Stoics practice daily reflection. They ask themselves, am I worrying about what I can change, or wasting energy on what I cannot? Once you accept this truth, life changes profoundly. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop begging for approval. You stop being a victim of events. Instead, you focus on mastering yourself, your mind, your reactions, your character. And this, the Stoics believed, is true freedom. The kind of freedom that cannot be taken away by fortune, fate, or other people. Truth 3. People will criticize you no matter what. One of the harshest realities that the Stoics constantly reminded themselves of is this: no matter what you do, someone will criticize you. Most people live their lives trying to avoid criticism. They try to please everyone. They shape their words, actions, and even their beliefs to gain approval from others. They fear judgment so much that they avoid taking risks, speaking their mind, or following their true path. But this is a trap. No one can ever satisfy everyone. Opinions are unpredictable. People are biased, jealous, or simply unaware of your intentions. Someone will always misunderstand you. Someone will always judge you. Someone will always find a reason to speak against you. The Stoics, including Marcus Aurelius, understood this better than most. They realized that the opinions of others are beyond your control. Trying to manage them is a wasted effort, a source of unnecessary suffering. What truly matters is your character, your integrity, and your principles. These are the things you can control. Your reputation, however, is not yours to govern entirely. Only your actions are. When you accept this truth, a profound sense of freedom emerges. You no longer live in fear of judgment. You speak honestly. You act boldly. You follow your own path, not the path dictated by others' expectations. Every time criticism comes, you can remind yourself, it is not about you. It is about the other person. Their opinions reflect their own fears, biases, and limitations, not your value or worth. This brutal truth is liberating. It forces you to stop seeking external validation and to start relying on internal validation. You no longer measure yourself by how others perceive you, but by how well you uphold your own principles. The Stoics believed that mastering this truth was essential for inner strength, because the moment you stop caring about what others think, your life becomes your own. You stop being a prisoner of judgment. You stop being a slave to approval. And in this freedom lies a quiet, unstoppable power, a power that no fortune, no criticism, and no circumstance can ever take away from you. Truth 4. Comfort creates weakness. One of the most uncomfortable lessons the Stoics taught is this: excessive comfort makes people weak. Most people today chase comfort as if it were the ultimate goal. They seek endless entertainment, convenience, and instant gratification. They avoid challenges and hardships whenever possible. They surround themselves with luxury and ease, believing that comfort equals happiness. But the Stoics knew something different. Life is unpredictable. Fortune is fickle. Circumstances can change in an instant. A person who depends entirely on comfort becomes fragile, vulnerable, and unprepared for adversity. Marcus Aurelius often practiced voluntary hardship, not out of hatred for comfort, but to train his mind and body to remain strong regardless of circumstances. Cold baths, simple food, long walks, and minimal possessions were tools to build resilience. This is a brutal truth because most people today refuse to embrace it. They avoid discomfort at all costs, yet they complain when life inevitably brings difficulties. They are weak, and they do not even notice it. The Stoics believe that enduring hardship voluntarily prepares you to face life's unavoidable challenges. When you train yourself to withstand discomfort, you gain freedom. You are no longer a slave to convenience or fear. You become fearless because you know you can survive and thrive even without the comforts you once relied on. Discomfort strengthens the mind. It sharpens focus. It teaches patience, discipline, and self-reliance. Each moment of resistance against ease builds a mental fortress that no external event can destroy. The lesson is clear. Do not chase comfort blindly. Do not let convenience dictate your life. Embrace challenges, endure hardship, and deliberately push yourself beyond your limits. Because the person who masters discomfort becomes unbreakable. While others crumble when life gets hard, the Stoic stands tall, calm and powerful, ready for anything. Truth 5. Your mind creates most of your suffering. One of the most powerful, and often ignored, Stoic truths is this. Most of your suffering is created by your own mind. Life is not inherently painful. Events themselves are neutral. Accidents happen. People act poorly. And hardships occur, yes. But the real pain comes from how we interpret these events. Our thoughts, judgments, and beliefs turn neutral situations into stress, anger, or fear. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He wrote in Meditations that no one can harm you without your consent. The insult, the failure, the betrayal, these are only harmful if you allow your mind to perceive them that way. Think about it. Two people can face the exact same situation. One becomes angry, anxious, or depressed. The other remains calm, collected, and even learns from it. What changed? Only their thinking. Only their perception. This is why Stoics emphasize training the mind. Your thoughts are not uncontrollable. They can be shaped with practice, reflection, and discipline. When you learn to see events as neutral, your reactions become deliberate instead of automatic. Your emotions stop dominating you. The brutal part of this truth, most people refuse to take responsibility for their thoughts. They blame circumstances, other people, or bad luck. They remain trapped in mental suffering that they themselves could release. The Stoics believe that mastering your mind is the ultimate form of freedom. When you stop giving power to negative thoughts, when you stop letting your mind create unnecessary suffering, you gain control over your life. And the result is profound. You become steady in chaos, calm in adversity, and unshakable no matter what life throws at you. Your mind is the battlefield, and mastering it is the key to true strength, freedom, and inner peace. Truth 6. Most people never master themselves. One of the most brutal truths the Stoics emphasized is this. Most people never master themselves. They spend their entire lives trying to control everything outside. Other people, circumstances, or material wealth. Yet they cannot even control their own impulses, their emotions, or their habits. They chase pleasure, avoid discipline, and surrender to distractions, thinking that life's external gains will bring happiness. The Stoics, including Marcus Aurelius, taught that true power begins with self-mastery. Conquering your own mind is far more important than conquering others or acquiring wealth. Your desires, your fears, your habits, these are the battlefield where real strength is won. Why is this truth brutal? Because it forces you to face your weaknesses. Most people never do. They make excuses. They blame the world. They allow themselves to remain slaves of impulse and emotion. Meanwhile, life passes by, and they remain powerless over their own choices. Self-mastery requires discipline and relentless honesty with yourself. It means noticing every time your mind wanders, every time you react out of habit, and every time you choose comfort over growth. It is uncomfortable, it is difficult, but it builds a foundation no external fortune or circumstance can destroy. The Stoics practiced daily reflection and strict routines to cultivate self-control. They asked themselves, did I act according to reason today? Did I let my desires dictate my choices? By answering these questions, they trained themselves to respond deliberately rather than react automatically. When you master yourself, something remarkable happens. You stop being a victim of your emotions. You gain freedom from your habits. You develop resilience that no one can shake. You can act with clarity, courage, and purpose in any situation. The harsh reality is that most people never reach this level. But if you embrace it, if you commit to self-mastery, you acquire a quiet, unstoppable power. A power that cannot be stolen, bought, or taken away. And this, the Stoics believed, is the greatest wealth a person can possess. Truth 7. The only real wealth is inner strength. The final brutal truth the Stoics teach is this: the only true wealth you can ever possess is inner strength. Most people chase external success. They pursue money, status, luxury, and recognition. They spend their lives accumulating things that can vanish overnight. Fortunes disappear, empires collapse, popularity fades, health declines. All external wealth is fragile, temporary, and outside your control. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. In meditations, he constantly reminded himself that true power comes not from what the world gives you, but from what you cultivate within yourself, your mind, your character, and your resilience. Inner strength is different. It cannot be stolen. It cannot be destroyed. It cannot disappear because of luck, circumstance, or betrayal. A person with inner strength can endure poverty without despair, criticism without anger, and misfortune without fear. This truth is brutal because it forces us to face reality. Most people spend their lives chasing fragile external wealth, thinking it will make them happy. They neglect the one thing that can never be taken from them: their own discipline, wisdom, and resilience. The Stoics practiced daily reflection, self-discipline, and voluntary hardship to cultivate inner strength. They trained their minds to remain calm in chaos, their emotions to remain steady in adversity, and their actions to remain guided by reason and principle. When you focus on building inner strength, external circumstances matter far less. You stop fearing loss because you are already rich in what truly counts. You stop being controlled by the opinions of others because your value comes from within. You stop chasing illusions of comfort or luxury because you know your mind is your true wealth. In the end, all material success fades. All social recognition fades. But the Stoic who has mastered themselves is invincible. Their mind, their discipline, and their character form a fortress no one can breach. Life is not easy. It is unpredictable, harsh, and often unfair. But the Stoics teach us that strength does not come from avoiding reality. It comes from facing it. By embracing these 7 brutal truths, you begin to see the world as it is, not as you wish it were. You stop wasting time. You stop chasing approval. You stop being a prisoner of comfort, fear, or distraction. You realize that your mind is your battlefield, your discipline is your true wealth, and your inner strength is your most valuable possession. The path of the Stoic is not about escaping life. It is about mastering it, mastering yourself, your thoughts, your reactions, and your character. Those who follow this path live differently. They act deliberately. They remain calm in chaos. They rise above fleeting fortunes, shallow praise, and meaningless distractions. This is the quiet, unstoppable power that the greatest Stoics, including Marcus Aurelius, cultivated every day of their lives. If you take even a fraction of these lessons to heart, you can become unshakable. You can live with purpose. You can control your life from the inside out. Because in the end, the most luxurious life is the one in which your mind, your character, and your will are stronger than any circumstance. This is Stoic Luxury.